Good morning or good afternoon. This is Mornings with Michael. Not always mornings, but this is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Let's get to our word of the day. Synecdoche, a figure of speech in which a part is made to represent the whole or vice versa. As in Cleveland won by 6 runs, Cleveland meaning Cleveland's baseball team. The team's full name is Jacksonville Jaguars, but they are often referred by the anecdote, the Jaguars. We're going to pause our show for a minute. We got a call coming in. Hello, we're back here. Here's our heat map, S&P 500 heat map. We got a little bit of a pullback after yesterday's strong surge, which was kind of expected. Meta is down slightly. Google is up. Apple is off slightly. Microsoft. NVIDIA is off a little over 1.5%. Same with Broadcom. Qualcomm down 1%. And Intel, kind of the laggard in the semiconductors, continues to pull back. Tesla's up 2%. Amazon up nearly 2%. Got a little bounce from some of the energy names, and we got a mixed bag in biotech and pharmaceuticals. So that's kind of our where we are there. And now let's go to our other screen here. If you're worried about a hard landing, which some people are talking about, this might be a good place to put your money right now, where you don't have any market risk. It goes up when the market goes up, does not go down when the market goes down. Right now is offering a 25 to 45% bonus, and number of annuities beat index investing by about 5% per year. So if you spent your lifetime building up your retirement wealth, the last thing you want to do is turn your 401k into 201k, which happened in 2008 when 54% pullback in the markets happened. So anything can happen in the markets. And that is the story there. Let us go over to our charts now. Here's our chart, IBB. This was yesterday. Let's pull up, refresh this. See where we are today. We got a little bit of a pullback there. Take a look at the other one. We're just looking under the covers of the S&P 500. We got a little bit of a pullback in the other biotech. Financials are holding steady, kind of building a triangle pattern. This is can often be bullish, also can be bearish. So we need to find out which way this is going to rock and roll. And that is the story with that one. XLC has been outperforming most of the major indexes. It is breaking out into the blue zone. Anything above 83.58 broke out. Volume is a little low. That is the only worrying. This can be wedging sometimes. Wedging isn't always good. You want to see this kind of blue volume on a breakout. But that is the story there. Take a look at energy. Energy got a little bit of a bounce, had a bounce yesterday as well, but it is actually in the blue zone today. Take a look at oil prices. Oil prices are up as well, 2 days in a row. Let's see if it can get above this black line, which is the 200-day moving average. This is kind of like the death cross when this crosses, definitely when it crosses a 200, but sometimes when it crosses the 10-day and 20-day across the 50-day isn't necessarily a good thing. So that we'll just have to see if that can correct itself. Mining and metals. Got a bounce off of the 50-day moving average. That's a good sign. Look at our building materials. Slow to come up here. Here's our building materials, kind of flat right under the 200-day moving average. Home builders pulling back. Look at utilities, has been a strength. The Stock Investors Almanac back in March had predicted utilities would be strong. Right now, for the entire market, Stock Market Almanac said July and August could kind of be calm, and then after the Democrat and Republican conventions, they foresee that the market will start moving up again. So we'll have to see if that remains the case. Take a look at technology. Pulling back a little bit. And this is software. Software got a big bounce off the 200-day moving average yesterday. Got another bounce today. I think CrowdStrike, they have helped with that. See where CrowdStrike is after their earnings. Got a big bounce and slight pullback off 0.49%. Not doing too bad. The other big one, this is AI software. It's having trouble getting back to the 50-day moving average with a lot of selling in the software sector. So that's what we're going to look at, right? As we look at infrastructure, it's pulling back, jets, our airlines, sure, semiconductors, a slight pullback today. So that is where we're situated. Let's go to the dollar index. Dollar tried to move higher and then closed lower yesterday, and it is off 0.14%. Silver is got a look at that bounce. So we had a little bit of a recovery up to the 20-day, and look at it gap up today, up 4.2%. That's a massive move. It did not come back to the 50-day line and fill these gaps. So we got these two gaps here, right down here, and now we got another gap here. And we got these gaps over here. So we got a bunch of gaps need to be filled on silver. So I'd watch out for that. Gold. Gold is gapping up today, up 0.73%. Take a look at their copper index. They need a lot of copper for this AI business and data centers. Got a gap up here. We've got another gap here. So that's some potential where that could go. Let's take a look at Arrow. We did get out of that the other day. We'll just kind of see where this goes from here. Southern Copper. Trying to see if it can fill the gap up to the 50-day. And Freeport McMoran. It's getting close to filling the gap there. Let's look at our bond yields. Bond yields keep falling. Got a gap down here and fell below the 200-day, and it is continuing to fall. At this rate, we do the market doesn't really like it falling too fast, too far, because then it kind of hinges on the economy. So this is down to 3.4% interest on the 20-year. Let's take a look at the VIX. VIX tried to move higher and is pulling lower. S&P 500 moved lower and then bouncing back, pretty flat for the day. The equal weight S&P 500. Same kind of triangle formation is starting to develop in the equal weight. It needs to resolve its way either down or up to see if it gets some volume behind it. be great if we can broaden out this market other than all in the big cap tech stocks. Tried to move at one point and then is pulled back. A big move in NASDAQ yesterday broke out. Pretty flat as well, much like the S&P 500, IWM. Pulling back to the 50-day moving average after a big move yesterday, down 0.75%, and our laggard is Dow Jones. So what do we got here? We talked about it on our show on the weekend. We got the A to B to C, and then would be finishing up here with the D. And then we kind of expect it come back down from here. So it's filled all of these gaps here. 1, 2. That's not real. Well, maybe that's a gap. Possibly could go up a little higher before retracing. So that's a look there. Let's take a look at what's been moving on the market. Pull up top 10% movers. And then we'll go to what news and earnings is happening. So Toro Company. Earnings came in at negative 11%, must have beat analyst expectations. It was up 8% versus expectations, up 14% on the stock today. Huge gap up, and it is near its high for the day. Smart Sheets does a lot of work with insurance companies. This software company is moving on up. Big gap up, 78% increase on earnings. That'll move your stock. Almost a 20% earnings surprise. The stock is up 17%. Halo continues its move. Look at this. It broke out over here. So we got a cup with a handle here. We cup with a handle here. And then we had a base on base cup with handle here. And when it got above the 50-day moving average, that right here at the high for the day, that would have been the time to buy. And you could have added some right here. It pulled back to the 20-day moving average when it bounced. That would have been a place to add. And it is gapping up. And now you could be taking your profits. So it's up 12.68% today. We'll see if it can continue that momentum. And GameStop is on the list. Pretty volatile. Look at that big move above 40, kind of cleared this consolidation. You just look at it on a technical standpoint. I'm not sure if this can really continue. It's based on Moringi. Kind of manipulation, but if you want to follow that, there is a lot of risk in that. The bull bear spread in American Association of Individual Investors weekly survey was 7 versus 12.3 last week. Bulls remain unchanged at 39%. Neutrals fall to 29% from 34.2, and bears rise to 32% from 26.7. Okay, we on to sector news and the consumer. Lululemon shares rose 10% overnight, as you can see right over here. Earnings came up at 11%, was a 5% earnings surprise, nearly 5% increase in the share today. EPS was $2.54, tops the $2.38 estimate. So on to 5 below. It is going below. Yes, shares fell 15% overnight. Quarter one adjusted EPS 60 cents versus estimate 63 cents, down 10.6%. On to ChargePoint. In our EV sector, quarter one EPS loss 17 cents versus estimate of 13 cents. Actually moves up. Must have been a surprise. Earnings are up 27%, even though it lost 11 cents. It's up about 6%. This is a penny stock. On to Costco. Costco net sales of 19.4 billion for retail month of May. 4 weeks ended June 2nd, 2024. Comparable sales for May were 6.4%. And the stock is moving on up. So this is the cup formation. Didn't really have much of a handle. When it moved into the blue formation, it didn't really give up much. It's just riding along this 10-day moving average. It keeps on moving. Got a lot of blue buying in here. Didn't really spike too much. It got a little bit on this red day, spiked down to its 20-day moving average, but I think all the buying was pink rally day, where it bounced up, got above the 10-day moving average. So that's a deal on Costco. A lot of people buying Costco trying to save on this vicious inflation. Victoria's Secret sells off. Quarter one EPS 12 cents versus estimate 9 cents. People were expecting a little more. Earnings are down 57% from year-over-year quarter. The stock is down 6.37. Gentherm announces new stock repurchase authorization, and it didn't do much for the stock. It initially moved up and then pulled back. Onto energy, industrials, and materials. GREEF, GEF is a ticker symbol. Quarter two EPS 82 cents versus 85 cents, and the market did not like that as the EPS was down 54%. Stock is off 2.65%. Old Dominion said May revenue a day increased 5.6% versus May 2023. Initially sold off with a big gap down. Is trying to move up. On to financials. Cycle Pharmaceuticals Limited has made an unsolicited takeover approach for Vanda Pharmaceuticals. According to people familiar with the matter, Bloomberg has reported. Vanda gaps up 24% in the news, huge volume. So we'll see if that comes through. And Samsung by Epsis, Biogen, and Roche's Genentech and Novartis had some of their Italian and Dutch counterparts are beginning to investigate by Italy's competition watchdog. Sorry for the mispronunciation, folks in Italy. BIB. Got a slight pullback in Biogen. The Roche is actually gapping up today, so it didn't really hurt them. And Novartis continues its move. This was a buy at 103.65, and it continues its move up. It's still viable as it's in the pivot box. So that's a straight there. And we're moving on to Bit Digital. Crypto space said May 2024, the company produced 63.3 Bitcoin, a 47% decrease 47% decrease compared to the prior month. And their stock is pretty flat with that news. While we're on Bitcoin, I'm just going to try to bring up a couple of prices. While we're still in the news, we'll just continue on. So that was Bit Digital and Dynex Capital at a $10.5 million share spot secondary priced at implied $12. This is sinking because people normally don't like to be devalued in their stock. You've got a gap down and looks like it's going to close on the low for the day. Onto healthcare, Canopy Growth, I guess you call the marijuana sector, files a prospectus to supplement relates to offer and sale from time to time up to 20.9 million common shares selling, and it's continuing its downturn. It gapped down and it is near the low for the day. On to Structure Therapeutics. $9.07 million share secondary, priced at $52.50. And amazing, this keeps most of the strength in the stock. This is looking similar to a high type flag, but it doesn't have the 100% gain, but that is what it currently looks like. And the price, I guess it's a short stroke up, and it's keeping all of that stroke, even with the news of selling secondary. On technology, media, and telecom, we move on to Couchbase. Q1 EPS lost 10 cents versus estimate of 15 cents. Still, people were expecting a lot better, even though their earnings were up 63%. And we got a 31.6% earnings surprise. It is down nearly 15% on that news. In the semiconductor space, Semtech, Q1 EPS 6 cents versus a 0% profit. Earnings were up 50%, moved up higher, and then has sold off. Semiconductors kind of take their profits down 1.8%. We looked at Smart Sheet earlier. Sprinkler, Q1 EPS 9 cents versus 7 cents. Big gap down, tried to fight back here, but it has lost 13.38%. We got Cadence Design System. They're filing to sell 1.74 million shares of common stock for holders. Really hasn't done too much damage to the stock. It's down 0.23%. And Invent. So this is a company in the AI space that the stockholders Almanac has been talking about on their site. So it's down 3.35%, but I definitely put this on your watch list. It has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire the parent of Tracti LLC for a purchase price of $695 million, subject to customary adjustments. Tracti is a leading manufacturer of custom engineered controlled building solutions designed to protect critical infrastructure assets. So that is everything in our news today. So let us go to, did we bring up Bitcoin? So let us just share that screen. So here is Bitcoin. Got a little bit of pullback, selling off, a bunch of people taking their profit. Let's just go to the 5-day. Come up here a bunch, but it is definitely selling off. So kind of like with the market, taking its profits. We'll take a look at Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum is resembling the same thing. Looked like it just fell off the side of a cliff, actually. But that is the story with both of those. Not sure if I actually shared that. Here's Ethereum. And let's go back to Bitcoin. Here's Bitcoin. See if they can bounce back. But that is the story. So we're going to go back to our screens. Was watching Toast today. So Toast is a fast growing company. We got a gap up here. We had earnings over here at 53%. It's trending upward and then gaps up. We have another earnings. Earnings are up 63%, gaps up. We got a long cup with handle here. So we bought this right for this earnings over here. Held on to it. We had another earnings, actually came in at 0%, still gapped up. And then we put in protective stop and it hit the stop. So when it fell right over here, we put in options at 23. So that's kind of the story in Toast. I think it's still a fast growing company. It does all the credit card processing for big majority of restaurants out there. So, and see all these food trucks out there. A number of them are using them as well. So that's with Toast. 4 had a feeling that this would kind of handle out for a little bit. So we talked about that yesterday. It's pulling back a little bit. We continue to have the 62.50 options on 4. I believe we closed out the 70.75 options yesterday when it was in the money. MicroStrategy with Bitcoin falling off. It was positive earlier, pulling back a little bit of 2.25%, but we got in on the bounce here at 1480, 1656. Got a little bit of a bounce here. We'll just have to see where that takes us. NVIDIA, these are all in our account. We're kind of doing NVIDIA, a little bit of a pullback, but it's got nice support there. Meta and one of our other family members' account. We bought the 470 options back. We think this is going to continue going up. Had the big gap down on earnings, and it has just been riding up. People are confident about the future, so they're buying into Meta as well. Netflix, as we just go around the FANG area. Netflix, much like Meta, sold off hard, and it has just been moving on up ever since then. We had sold a covered call right around 560. We bought a lot of those back. Microsoft is big into AI. Got a big gap down right over here. And then a gap back up and pulled back and kind of filled that gap. And then continue moving up. We got a gap down here. We'll just see if it can fill that gap and get back into the pivot area. So that is Microsoft. I believe we did buy an option at 417 Microsoft in one of the other accounts. So that is the story there. We have a big part in Ethereum. Got a big gap up here. It's holding pretty steady here as we see if they get constant approval of moving forward with the Ethereum ETF. So that FTAI, we'll just kind of look at some of the aerospace. We have in the portfolio, kind of holding strong there. Lower, we bought right in this area. I think it was 55.70, and it is moving up 58.62. Just kind of a nice march along the 10-day moving average. That's with lower. Bought this other IPO. This is casualty and professional liability products. Kind of like this kind of area. See if this can break out above this area. Right around here. Here is the one we had to let go, but we continue to watch it. NVIDIA has a big investment here. Pull back to 270, we got out of it. So we're just kind of watching this, see if it gets some volume. and moves above $3 a share. So this is the other IPO that we're looking at. So this is another IPO, Singapore-based company, provides safe and reliable, cost-effective maritime LPG transportation. The question is, will it fill this gap, or is it going to hold above $20, pull back to the 10-day? Let's see if it pulls back to the 20-day. Just keep watching this one. Dutch Brothers Coffee, really like this. We bought this right over here, gapped up, put a protective stop right here, hit our stops. Pull back a little further, we got in, bought 3 of the 36 call options yesterday when it was up 123% profit on the calls. We sold 1 of the 3, continue to hold 300 shares. Elf Beauty, we had a $160 option. Felt the earnings were going to be positive. And right now it's kind of developing a handle. So we'll kind of see where that goes. Selling off, but the volume is much slower. That's what you want to look for. Slightly bullish. You want to see buying with heavy blue bars like this. So we looked at 4. Looked at NVIDIA. We looked at our aerospace areas. I'm just going to open up my pad. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. We'll take a look at a couple of the other big FANG stocks. Amazon looks like it's breaking out of this little consolidation. Volume is kind of muted, but it is definitely on a price area breaking through all of its trend lines here, which is positive. Take a look at Lyft. Lyft tried to move higher and then sold off. Uranium company Denison Mines pulled back to the 50-day and is bouncing today. Tried to go up to the 20-day and got some selling, so it's right in the middle of its range. To the AI area, NTAP continues to hold much of its gains and really is just obeying this 10-day moving average as it moves on up. Kava got hit with a little selling. I wanted to put on a $100 short on my Kava, but I got a little too greedy yesterday. Still have the order in. We'll see if it can bounce any or if it continues pulling back. And finally, CrowdStrike. I believe we talked about this a little bit. Got a little bit of a pullback here, and we had the 320 option. So it bounced here, pretty strong move, and we'll just see how this plays out. So that is our look at the market today, a little education and what we're currently doing. So that is a story, not too bad of a pullback today, but we'll just keep an eye on it for you and come back on Friday. As you can see, earnings continue to grow on CrowdStrike. I think it's a leader in the cyber security area, and we appreciate you tuning in for Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It's your responsibility to do your own due diligence to find out what is right for you. If If you have any questions, feel free to send us a comment. I'll get back to you when we'll turn around those comments pretty quickly. So this is our weekly forecast. We appreciate you tuning in. That's it for today. You have a great day.